Hi, I'm Mr. Schwanebeck. Welcome back to the Horizon Art Room. Last week, we were talking about tessellations. We looked at some artwork by M.C. Escher, and then you created a template, or a tracer, of your own out of cardboard. The style that we're using is called translation. That's where you take one piece from a side and you slide it to the other side. We did that twice. You worked to try to find a picture inside your shape. And if you did, awesome. If you didn't or couldn't, don't stress out about it. You can still tessellate that shape, and you might decorate it with a pattern or some other design. Today, I'm going to show you how to use your template to tessellate across the page. It could go on to infinity, but we're just going to do a normal size piece of paper.
Today, you're going to need a piece of paper, your template, and a pencil. We are going to tessellate your shape, your template, across the page. Start by putting your template in the center and trace around carefully. You'll see when I get done that I notice I missed a spot. There's a little gap, and I just close it up with my pencil. No big deal. Then slide the template or the tracer one direction and line up the edges so that they perfectly match. Since this one is already done, I only really have to trace the other three. It's even easier to see here why I didn't have to trace that edge. The front of the line's face is the same as the back of the line's head. You're going to keep doing the same motion, sliding the tracer, tracing the edges that you don't already have to finish the next one. Don't worry if the design goes off the page. That's actually part of the design. It helps it look like it continues on and on forever. You might have already guessed that the next step is to move the tracer back and finish the previous heads, moving backwards across the page. This method is called translation. It's one of 3 different methods of creating a tessellation. It's the first one I teach because it's the easiest to do. I'll introduce a more advanced method in a later video. When I'm finished with this row, I'll slide the template down to do the bottom row, and I'll slide it up to do the top row. When you think you're done, slide your tracer off and take a look at the whole picture. I almost always miss a spot here or there and have to touch things up. Next, you're going to start transferring the details from your template onto the artwork. Of course, there's lots of ways to do this. This time, I'm drawing all the details in the center one. Then, as I move on to the others, I pick one detail at a time. Each one gets a nose, each one gets an eye, and build the rest of it like that. Here's the thing. We want it to look perfect, but nobody is perfect. Mine isn't perfect. But here are some things that we can do to hide the mistakes so that when people look at it, they only notice the great design that we did. First, when you're tracing your template and tessellating across the page, don't double up your lines. Don't retrace an edge that's already there. Second, draw lightly. It's so much easier to erase light lines. Those mistakes won't get noticed. Third, balance an interesting design with an easy design to draw. You're going to have to do it again and again and again. Don't make it so complicated that you get tired of it after the second transfer. And fourth, just have fun with it. These are neat designs when they're done, and they can be fun to create, but don't stress yourself out. It doesn't have to look like a realistic fish. You're learning a new process. Maybe your design is just going to look like an interesting pattern. It's okay. Give yourself a little bit of grace. Have fun with it. Next week, we're going to add color. So save this, and if you're an online student, take a picture and post it to Seesaw because your teachers can't wait to see what you create.